Assalamu alaikum, may peace be with you. Welcome to the Muslim News Awards for Excellence 2006, the annual occasion where achievement by and for the Muslim community is recognized and celebrated. My name is Fatim Gurji, and tonight Yasser Darsi and I will be guiding you through the awards. But before we begin, let us honor the Islamic tradition and hear a recitation from the Holy Quran. It's my pleasure to introduce to you this evening Aban ad-Din al-Hakim to recite in Arabic and Zainab Versi to translate.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولقد كتبنا في الزبور من بعد الذكر أن الأرض يرثها عبادي الصالحون إن في هذا لبلاغا لقوم عابدين وما أرسلناك إلا رحمة للعالمين قل إنما يوحى إلي أنما إلهكم إله واحد فهل أنتم مسلمون فإن تولوا فقل آذنتكم على سواء وإن أدري أقريب أم بعيد ما توعدون إنه يعلم الجهر من القول ويعلم ما تكتمون وإن أدري لعله فتنة لكم ومتاع إلى حين قال رب احكم بالحق وربنا الرحمن المستعان على ما تصفون صدق الله العظيم.
This week is the death anniversary of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. The verses that we have just heard are taken from the chapter of the Prophets, verses 105 to 112. It talks about Prophet Muhammad as a mercy to mankind, and the message that was revealed to him was about the oneness of God. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. And indeed, we did write in Zabur, the Psalms, after the message that my righteous servants shall inherit the land. Verily in this is a message for people who worship us. We sent you not, O Muhammad, but as a mercy for all creatures. Say, it is revealed to me that your God is one God. Will you then not submit to his will in Islam? But if they turn away, say, I have proclaimed the message to you, all alike and in truth. But I know not whether that which you are promised is near or far. Verily, he, God, knows that which is spoken openly and that which you conceal. And I know not, perhaps it may be a trial for you and an enjoyment for a while. He, Apostle Muhammad, said, my Lord, judge you in truth. Our Lord is the most gracious, whose help is to be sought against that which you attribute to him.
Founded by Naz Kosa in 2004, Ulfa aims to raise an understanding and appreciation for the arts by catering for the needs of women who would not normally have the opportunity to engage in such arts due to cultural or religious beliefs. This performance includes a Japanese peace prayer, gospel, and singing in Arabic. Presenting extracts of their show, and they're currently on tour, by the way, the Journey to the Great Mosaic, please give a big hand for Ulfa Arts.
The 99 names of Allah, most beautiful they are. Their the attributes of Allah. To know them is to know your Lord. They're a journey to paradise. So here they are. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, Al-Malik, Al-Qudus, Al-Salam, Al-Malim, Al-Muhaymin, Al-Aziz. The compassionate, the merciful, the sovereign Lord, the holy, the source of peace, the guardian of faith, the protector, the mighty, the expander, the abaser, the altar, the honorer.
طلع البدر علينا من ثنيات الوداع وجب الشكر علينا مدى لله. Oh, the white moon rose over us from the valley of Wada, and we owe it to show gratefulness when the call is to Allah. Sallallahu ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, sallallahu ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, sallallahu ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, sallallahu ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Da 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 Oh, Allah, you are the greatest, not for naught did you create all this. Oh, Allah, you have no partners, and Allah, you are the one. Oh, Allah, you are the greatest. You sent your prophets down to guide us from Adam, Idris, Nuh, Hud, Saleh to the last of them all, Muhammad. Oh, Allah, you are the creator, Lord of all the worlds, and we are all your servants. Unto you is our return. You showed me the beauty of Islam, spread it around the world, and we ask for your mercy and forgiveness to enter paradise. Da 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 Every time I do a thing I should not do, every time I say a word I should not say, let me tell you what I do. It may bring a blessing too. I just steal away somewhere and pray. I just steal
steal away somewhere and pray. Jinru isoku kami. Jinru isoku kami. Jinru isoku kami. Jinru isoku kami. Jinru isoku kami nari. 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 Jinru isoku kami. Jinru isoku kami nari. 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 Jinru isoku kami. Jinru isoku kami. Jinru isoku kami. Jinru isoku kami.
In the same career as mine, but soon moved on to the opposition benches to become a spokesman on local government and then later on Treasury issues. Once in government, he became Home Secretary and is now Secretary of State for Foreign and Commonwealth Affairs, a position that has necessarily meant that he's had close involvement with the Muslim community over the previous years. I am, of course, talking about the Right Honourable Jack Straw MP, and we're delighted to have him here this evening. A round of applause for our guest speaker, please. Please can I invite to the stage the man whose vision, dedication and hard work alone makes this event a possibility. He, of course, needs no further introduction. I'm talking about Ahmed Versi, editor of the Muslim News.
Foreign Secretary, the Right Honourable Jack Straw, ministers, shadow ministers, ambassadors and friends, Assalamu alaikum and peace be upon you all. Thank you all for coming to the Muslim News Awards for Excellence. I would like to extend an especially big welcome to those who have been nominated for an award tonight, and to those of our loyal readers who took the time and trouble to nominate men, women, and young people of excellence. The Muslim News is proud to launch its 6th Awards for Excellence. This annual highlight recognizes the achievements of unsung heroes and heroines and promotes excellence within the Muslim community and beyond. It has become a beacon of light in the midst of much gloom. In these trying times, it is befitting to honor and acknowledge our shining stars. There is a dire need to bring together Muslims from a cross-section of British society and celebrate the many achievements and contributions that went unnoticed and unrecognized in the past. Today, we see an impressive array of talented men, women, and young people who are contributing to the world around them and to their own communities through their various activities and accomplishments. Muslims are a remarkable group of people. We represent many, if not most, of world's cultures. Yet, we are united by common values, a shared history, and the legacy of a rich and colorful heritage. This heritage has ensured an evolution of a distinctly British identity. When we first began publishing the Muslim News, one of our main aims was to open and strengthen the lines of communication amongst ourselves and with the world at large. We wanted to provide a domain through which Britain's Muslims could share their experiences and convey the excitements, challenges, and disappointments that come as a new community carves out its place in society. 16 years have passed since then. If I were to pick our 2 most positive developments of this time, there would be a heightened awareness of faith-based identity and the emergence of role models. The Muslim News Awards for Excellence, in celebrating both of these achievements, takes them a stage further. Our ceremony is a unique opportunity to showcase Muslim and non-Muslim successes and to identify role models of the future. I'm always inspired by the diversity of guests. Where else do you see charity workers, young people, artists, community workers, journalists, scientists, businessmen and women of all ages? Where else would you see academics, ambassadors, policymakers, leading political and military leaders, and homemakers sat at the same table? Everybody leaves inspired by this. Let us hope that this enthusiasm develops into informed action by those who have the power to make changes. As has been the case in the past 5 award ceremonies, the nominations received have been truly motivating and of the highest quality. The Muslim community can draw enormous pride from the nominations alone. Nominees, be assured that every one of you is a winner. Each of you embodies the feel-good factor that lifts our communities. What we see today is just a drop in the ocean of excellence that exists in the British Muslim community. Since the last awards, a lot has happened. The July 7 terrorist attacks in particular have left their mark on every single man, woman, and child in this country. Let me make it clear to all present now, those who committed this crime did not and can never, ever represent the Muslim community. And anyway, there is no evidence that religion played a primary motivating factor in the bombings. To the contrary, evidence strongly suggests that the government's ill-conceived policies prompted a rationale for individuals to resort to wanton acts of violence. However, nothing can justify the 7 July bombings. In more than 25 years of journalism, therefore, I still cannot understand why it is that many politicians and those in my profession still associate Islam with terrorism. As for the cartoons from Denmark, there isn't much that is humorous about a cartoon that suggests that Prophet of Islam is a terrorist. That is, unless you think it is funny that as a result of these cartoons, more Muslims are being demonized, profiled, stopped and searched, and are verbally attacked and abused. Our communities feel under siege. They are under siege. This makes this awards event so much more important. Muslims around the world are amongst the most poorest and voiceless of peoples. Tonight, you will hear from some of the hidden gems amongst Muslims in Britain. I strongly suggest to my colleagues in the press to take a lead in making their stories more widely known. The Muslim News Awards for Excellence has unearthed a wealth of talent, ability, and achievement. Now, with your continued support, let us all share in their accolade. Jack Straw is a distinguished member of this common government and has since 1997, when he came into the cabinet as a Home Secretary. He also represents a constituency, Blackburn, which has a significant Muslim population. Despite our very strong difficulties with UK government's foreign policy over Iraq, Palestine, Kashmir, Iran, and anti-terror legislation, we still need to engage with the government. In the past, Jack has been someone who listened and delivered on his promises. Jack personally took the issue of British Muslim charity Interpal, which helps the impoverished Palestinians in the occupied territories, Lebanon and Jordan, with the US government, who had alleged that the charity was funding terrorists. The US government was not able to provide any evidence of its allegations. For this and others, you have our thanks. Way back in 1989, when few could foresee a day when Labour would have the keys to Downing Street, Jack was busy listening and acting on what he heard. As Shadow Secretary of Education, you heard that Muslims had no state funding for community schools. Once in government, you kept the promise for Muslim schools to be treated no differently to other faith schools. Jack, we are happy to have you amongst us. We hope you will enjoy the evening and see a side to British Islam that few outside our community get a chance to see. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Right Honourable Jack Straw.
Thank you very much, Ahmed, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for the introduction. It really is a great privilege to be invited here and to share the stage with the exceptional men and women who will be receiving awards a little later. Nowadays, it's hard to switch on the television or open a newspaper without seeing yet another awards ceremony for film stars or rock bands. All well and good, best of luck to these ceremonies. But it is just as important, indeed, I think, much more so, that we take time to honour and to celebrate those who've used their talent and abilities in the service of the broader community. To honour those, as Ahmed has just said, who are the unsung heroes of our communities. And that's what tonight is all about. The first thing we're doing, of course, is paying tribute to the specific achievements of many individual Muslims over the past year, so well laid out in this very well-produced brochure. But there's another layer to tonight's proceedings. We're celebrating the very significant contribution which Muslim communities as a whole make year on year to our country. And tonight I want to say a little more about why that second layer is so important. And let me be clear, it's not because I think that British Muslims have anything special that they have to prove in this regard. They show what they contribute to British society, their society, every day, bolstering our economy, invigorating education, sport and culture. And just on that issue of bolstering the economy, if the economy of Lancashire has grown, and it has grown, and we've got unemployment down to historically low levels, it is the Asian businesses, principally Muslim Asian businesses, which have disproportionately helped to create jobs and expand the economy in Lancashire and the Northwest. Not just for Muslims, I may say, but for people regardless of race, religion, or colour. And the same is true across the country. And the wider importance of these awards, therefore, stems from this, that by highlighting the success of Muslim communities in Britain, it reveals the nonsense in the claim that there is some sort of inherent contradiction between being Muslim and being British. Now, at this time in Britain and throughout Europe, there is a very passionate, sometimes rather confused debate about the role of religion and faith communities in our society. Some people worry that faith and modernity are in some way mutually exclusive, and the thesis goes something like this. We in what might loosely be termed the West live in a modern, secular environment. Our values are post-Enlightenment, humanist ones. Religions and religious people who draw their inspiration and teachings from divine authority and not from human reason are throwbacks to a less sophisticated, to a more superstitious time. And as such, this argument goes, they are a dangerous and potentially divisive anachronism. Now, I've heard this argument applied to followers of all religions. There were echoes of it in the reaction to the recent remarks which Prime Minister Tony Blair made about his personal religious beliefs on a late-night chat show. And in some parts of the media, it is used as criticism of the current United States administration. But here in Europe, a lot of the time that people talk about inherent tensions between religious beliefs and the modern world, what they're referring to is a clash between what they, from the outside, perceive to be Muslim values and what they define as secular European values. Indeed, in all the debates and arguments about whether Turkey should begin its long road to membership of the European Union, as a European society and one that straddles Europe and Asia, an argument that had a successful, at least, start on October the 3rd, and I was proud to be a part of that. What I perceived was that alongside the arguments about the absorption capacity of the European Union and the state of Turkey's economy, there was another, much more powerful substrata of argument, which you didn't hear articulated in words, but was actually part of the motivation, which is whether a large Muslim society could really be a part of Europe. I'm delighted to have played a very important part in ensuring that that is going to be so. Now, and what was forgotten by those who held this view was that they sometimes implied that Islam was some sort of new European religion. But of course there have been Muslim communities in Europe for centuries. Now it is true that in recent decades those communities have grown in size, and Islam is now the fastest growing religion here and in many parts of Europe. But another reason might be the feeling that many people seem to have that Muslims are in some way more religious than followers of other faiths. And again, it is probably undeniable that for most of the Muslims that I know, their faith is more obviously apparent in their daily actions and rituals than it is in the daily lives of the majority of people in Britain. Now, if people want to argue that God does not exist and faith is not necessary, then that's their right, and I respect their view, although I don't happen to agree with it. Besides, the world's major faiths have shown remarkable resilience over many centuries. But what I will take issue with is the idea that any faith community here in Britain, and that includes, obviously, the Muslim community, is in some way excluded from our modern society simply because of a profound and devout religious belief. For one thing, it is wholly wrong to assume that the West, including Europe, is essentially secular in nature. Here in the United Kingdom, in the last census, 2001, 70% of people identified themselves as Christian. They didn't have to, it wasn't compulsory. They gave the answers in the privacy of their own home. They could have said no religion or something else, agnostic or atheist. They volunteered that they were Christian. In the United States, the figure is even higher, and as many as 2/3 claim to go to church every week. And religion is intertwined in the political structures here in the United Kingdom very powerfully. One of my first duties when I took over as Home Secretary in 1997 was to be told that I needed a morning dress because I had to go on a regular basis to Buckingham Palace to swear in new bishops in front of Her Majesty the Queen. And this was a lengthy oath, echoing the words of Henry VIII, for those who know their history, which required the new bishop, and it's still going on, to make an oath of loyalty to Her Majesty the Queen as head of the church, defender of the faith, and nobody else. Each day in our allegedly secular society, the British Parliament opens with prayers for a parliament. They are rather more ecumenical than they used to be, but the Speaker's chaplain who reads the prayers is an Anglican, and so too are the prayers themselves. It's a similar story across apparently secular Europe. In Italy, for example, the teaching of the Roman Catholic religion is assured in the public schools of every order and grade except for universities. Not just the teaching of the Christian religion, but the teaching of the Roman Catholic religion. Denmark and Greece both have established churches, the former evangelical Lutheran, the latter Orthodox. Even in France, where the division of church from state is most thorough, the public purse helps to pay for the upkeep of some religious buildings, almost exclusively Christian and Jewish, which happened to be built before 1905. And of course, for those of us here who are lawyers, just scratch the surface of the legal principles behind our law here, and we see that our system of common law in the United Kingdom and the civil systems of jurisprudence throughout Europe have been strongly influenced by Christian ethics and traditions of the vast majority of the population, and in many cases, not just influenced by those traditions, but much more specifically by canon law, religious law, which preceded our civil law. And it would indeed be extraordinary if it were not so, given the fact that the only basis for law can be that of ethical, often religiously informed values. And my point is this: the story of Europe is not a simple linear one of secular values steadily pushing out and eroding religious values. Rather, the European experience is one of accommodation between faith and modernity. Now, for it to work, governments have to provide a space in which the rights and diversity of people of all faiths are protected, and at the same time set a clear framework through its domestic laws of acceptable behaviour for all its citizens, regardless of creed. And the recent controversy over the cartoons, which Ahmed referred to, illustrates this well. I said at the time that the cartoons were reprinted in Europe, though not here in the United Kingdom, that doing so was needlessly insensitive and disrespectful. The right to freedom of expression is a broad one, and something which this country has long held dear. It was a focus of our human rights work during our recent presidency of the EU itself. But the existence of that right does not mean that it is right, morally right, politically right, or socially right, to exercise that freedom without regard to the feelings of others. And a large number of Muslims in this country were understandably upset by those cartoons being reprinted across Europe and their deeply held religious beliefs being insulted. They expressed their hurt and outrage, but did so in a way which epitomised the learned, peaceful religion of Islam. In doing so, they were not being unreasonable or un-European. They were not threatening anybody else's values. Now, a handful of Muslims reacted in a distasteful and unacceptable way. Their actions were roundly condemned, including by the vast majority of British Muslims. The Muslim Council of Britain, and it's a great delight to see Iqbal Sakrani here in the front, called for anyone who was found to have broken the law to be prosecuted. And earlier this month, the police made 5 arrests. Leading international Muslims also rightly condemned incidents of violence overseas in reaction to the cartoons. And the distinction we are all making then is not between the religious and the secular, or between the Muslim and the European. The distinction is between the law-abiding citizen and the criminal. And the row over the cartoons was, however, illuminating in another way. It showed again the extent to which a small minority of people with fringe views can dominate the media, setting themselves up to speak for a much larger constituency than they in fact represent. I was struck, and I know that so many in this room were, by just how much more coverage was given to a couple of hundred noisy demonstrators outside the Danish embassy, as compared to the thousands upon thousands who gathered for a dignified and peaceful rally in Trafalgar Square just a few days later. Or here's another example. Ask most people in Britain who don't regularly attend an act of worship to name a Christian cleric, and most would probably say the Archbishop of Canterbury, Dr. Rowan Williams. It's a fair answer, and members of the other Christian denominations are, at the very least, unlikely to take offence at such an association. But ask those same people to name a Muslim cleric, and you'll probably hear the name Abu Hamza, a man who in no way represents the vast majority of Muslims in this country, and his views are indeed abhorrent to most of them. And as long as we let faith communities be narrowly defined by a few fringe elements, we're giving ammunition to those who want to emphasise the divisions between us. All of us, the media, the government, and the Muslim community, have to work harder to challenge such easy stereotypes and clichés. We need to work harder too to ensure that our voices are heard more clearly over that of the extremists, domestically and internationally. And what we need to do is to tell the story about how faith communities, including the Muslim communities, are making a tangible difference to British society. The Charity Commission, for example, lists over 22,000 religious charities of all shapes and sizes working in England and Wales. Some of those charities have the sole aim of advancing a particular faith, but for many of them, their faith is not the end goal, but rather the force which drives them to work for a better world. It would probably come as actually a considerable surprise to most non-Muslims in this country that Islamic Relief is a British-based charity, or that it works with the world's poorest people, regardless, making no distinction between those of differing faiths. And the department, our own Department for International Development, consider them such a valuable partnership that they provided the organisation with over £3.5 million over the years to help their humanitarian relief efforts. Similarly, a great deal was made, and quite rightly, about the generosity of the British people as a whole following the tsunami on Boxing Day 2004. But I don't think that quite enough has been said about the wholly exceptional effort which many Muslims made in the aftermath of the earthquake in Pakistan last year, as well as their efforts after the tsunami. Some British Muslims tragically lost family members in the Pakistan disaster. But as I know from my own very large Kashmiri community, mercifully, the numbers of people with British associations who lost their lives in that terrible earthquake was relatively few. And on the whole, Muslims in this country supported the relief of those sufferers of the earthquake, not as a result of any personal motive or suffering, but motivated to a much greater degree by a sense of charity and community. And there's just something else I'd say about that sense of charity and community, and it needs to be said. The release of the British hostage, Norman Kember, and two of his companions, has been very prominent in the media over the past few days. We never know exactly what led those kidnappers to carry on keeping those victims alive when in similar circumstances they sometimes met an early death. But I believe that the calls by many Muslims in this country, fellow British citizens, for the safe release of those kidnapped victims, and in showing solidarity both with their plight but also with their cause, may well have contributed to their survival, and for that I thank God. Now, the truth is that people of conviction have always made a massive contribution to the life of this country, not just through social and charitable work, but in politics, science, and the arts. And it's good to see many colleagues from all sides of the political divide here present today. The Muslim community is no exception to this rule. They are giving so much to Britain, and you have so much to offer the rest of the world. I'd like to see much more interaction between British Muslims and Muslim communities in other countries. We should be proud that British Muslims really can lead the debate on how that we can overcome the challenges which matter to all of us, Muslims and non-Muslims. and to use the skills and thinking to help the economic and political development of others. We haven't got everything right in this country, even I may say in the last 9 years. But one of the things we've got far better than most European countries, and which is being increasingly recognised, is the way in which we have developed not only race relations but religious relations, the way in which we celebrate the differences that we have rather than denigrating those differences or trying to pretend that they don't exist. And this evening I've made this intellectual argument that faith and modernity, British and Muslim, are complementary. But the most comprehensive, the greatest living proof of my argument of faith and modernity is in the people who are here tonight and in those who will be accepting awards. British Muslims are where Britain and Islam intersect. Celebrating their success, your success, is the best way of showing that these two identities can and do thrive in the same place, the same person, the same community. Thank you very much indeed, and congratulations to everybody who's receiving an award.
Thank you for that. The namesake of the Allama Iqbal Award for Creativity in Islamic Thought was the ultimate multitasker. A philosopher, a jurist, a politician, a reformer, a poet, and an Islamic scholar. And all this before the advent of BlackBerries, personal organisers, and Microsoft Windows. This award is sponsored by the Foreign Office. Could I please ask the Right Honourable Jack Straw MP to announce the winner?
The winner of the Allama Iqbal Award for Creativity in Islamic Thought is Adawahad El Afendi.
Abdul Wahab Al-Effendi is a senior research fellow at the Centre for Study of Democracy at the University of Westminster. He's the author of numerous books, including Turabi's Revolution, Islam and Power in Sudan, Who Needs an Islamic State?, Rethinking Islam and Modernity, and writes for a number of newspapers and magazines such as African Affairs, Muslim World, International Journal of Middle Eastern Studies, and Democracy and Journal of Democracy. He has contributed to works such as the Routledge Encyclopedia of Philosophy, Islam and Justice, and Islamic Thought in the 20th Century. He is the member of the Consultative Council of the Arab Human Rights Organization in the UK and a trustee of the International Forum for Islamic Dialogue.
Thank you very much. Now, this is really embarrassing. I now have to make some contribution to Islamic thought. I think this Ahmed Versi has rightly pointed to reasons why we cannot claim achievements as Muslim intellectual at this crucial juncture. If the Muslim community, as you said, in Europe feels under siege, and if democracy and Islam don't seem to be progressing together as we have been calling for and advocating, and if terrorism and Islam are also associated in spite of our efforts, I think we need to work a little bit more hard. Thank you very much.
Sorry, this is going to be the award.
Oh, that's very good. Yes, thank you very much. That's very nice. Good.
I think it's important about the ceremony.
No, it's great. It's fantastic. Isn't it?
The whole event is done by volunteers.
No, it's really good. And you've also got a very good cross-section of people from other communities.
Yeah, so you have got the communities,
Sure.
communities.
You've got Ian Johnson from the British Transport Police. Yeah, it's good man.
Yeah, those guys.
Yeah, it's very good. It's really good. It's excellent.
This is for what matter.
Don't worry. Sure, no, that's so good. No, thank you.
Sorry to come.
No, yeah. Sorry, I'm time, but
Okay.
thank you. Very good to see you. Yorkshire, yeah. You've got plenty of relations with Blackburn, I know.
Yeah, definitely.
Ladies and gentlemen, and we move to the issue of how the decision is made to choose between so many capable and inspiring nominees. I can assure you that that's no small task, and it's one that our independent panel of judges does not take lightly. To tell us a little bit more about the process, please welcome to the stage Vice Chair of the Judging Panel and Chief Executive of the RSPCA, Jackie Ballard.
As-salamu alaikum. Ladies and gentlemen, there are many times in life when I've considered myself fortunate. When I lived in Iran for almost a year, when I was asked to be the non-Muslim on the panel of judges for the Muslim News Awards for Excellence for 2006, and again this evening when I was asked to speak briefly on behalf of the judges. The names and photographs of the judges are all in the back of your programme. But the members of the panel were all, apart from myself, distinguished Muslims. They were Abeda Iqbal, Aziza Atta, Fatima Amer, Amir De Martino, Sadiq Khan MP, Saheb Muin. We met initially to discuss the process which we would follow, and then we all went away over the Christmas and New Year holiday with a stack of nomination forms to read and consider. They were of high calibre and made interesting reading. From that stack, we independently drew up our shortlists and sent them with the scores to our coordinating assistants. And we must thank our coordinating assistants for doing all the administrative work for us. They were Ehsan Masood, Zora Khaku, and Shaheen Mohammed. Many thanks to them for their help. The judges then met again and went through each person's shortlist and points allocation. For some of the categories, the winner was obvious and needed little debate because that person was first on everyone's list. But for others, there was vigorous discussion, always polite, but sometimes noisy. And you can imagine with one serving politician and one ex-politician on the panel, there were some very interesting arguments. The judges were pleased with the standard of the nominations, as we believe these awards are very important, especially in today's world where many Muslims are seeking positive role models within the community to emulate. It's easy to focus on the bad news in the media. Tonight is an opportunity to focus on the good and the positive contributions which Muslims make to our shared world. But ladies and gentlemen, we would like the judges next year to have even more nominations to read, to spend even more hours reading them. So please do not be shy. Nominate those you feel are worthy and who a wider audience needs to hear about. The judges are delighted to present to you tonight the results of our deliberations and our decisions which were reached collectively and without influence from Muslim News or anyone else outside the panel. You can be sure that all of tonight's winners are very worthy and deserving of your applause. Thank you.
The Fazlur Rahman Khan Award for Excellence in Engineering, Science and Technology will be presented by Ian Johnston, Chief Constable of the British Transport Police. This award is sponsored by the Ministry of Defence.
Fazlur Rahman Khan was a structural engineer with a vision for inspired buildings. Marrying function with elegance, his works include a 100-story John Hancock building in Chicago, the Sears Tower, and the Hajj Terminal in Jeddah, which many of us have been fortunate enough to pass through. Over to Ian Johnston.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm very, very honoured indeed on behalf of the British Transport Police to sponsor this award in recognition of the major contribution made by the Muslim community to the safety and prosperity of the UK, and obviously in particular to the information technology world, which is very important to my own organisation. I would like the sponsoring of this award to symbolise the desire of the British Transport Police to be a much more inclusive organisation. My force very much values the diverse community in the UK, which has the great honour to police. It needs and values the support of our Muslim community. After the criminally motivated bombings in London in July last year, building and developing the trust and confidence of the Muslims for my force has become very, very important indeed, as indeed it has for the whole of the police service. I'd like to thank the Muslim News actually for helping me in my own personal dialogue with the Muslim community. But I guess I would want to say most especially I'm very, very proud my force is associated with this award. I would love to be back here in the future alongside a member of my staff winning an award, but in the meantime I'll settle for the enormous privilege of announcing tonight's winner. And this is where you open the envelope and you find it's empty. But fortunately it does have a ticket in it. The winner of the Felzar Rahman Khan Award for Excellence in Engineering, Science and Technology is Sagir Akhtar.
Professor Sagir Akhtar is an internationally renowned academic in drug delivery of genome-based therapeutics. He is currently Chair of Drug Delivery and Director of the Centre for Genome-Based Therapeutics at Cardiff University. He has won many awards and prizes for his work and is a prolific writer in his field, having written over 100 scientific papers.
Just in case I won, I did prepare something small here. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is truly a great honor to receive this very prestigious award, and I'd like to thank Muslim News especially for having a category that recognizes science. As you've just heard, I've been very fortunate, blessed, to be able to use the right word, over the years of my scientific career to have been awarded several international prizes, but this one is the first that actually recognizes my reason for existence, which is my faith. And for that reason, this will always hold a very special place in my heart. So thank you very much again. Thank you.
Our next award this evening is the Sankore University Award for Excellence in Education. It's sponsored by the Metropolitan Housing Trust and will be presented this evening by its chairman, Musejita Kolia.
Can I begin by paying tribute to the organisers and for those of you who know Ahmed Versi's tenacity. It's no mean feat to pull off an event like this, and each year, for me personally speaking, it does get better and better, and I'd like to pay tribute to Ahmed Versi first. I think, secondly, to all the nominees in every single category, it does fill us with enormous pride in a world in which so much of the news is so negative, to be able to stand here and celebrate success. And for all and every single nominee, I'd like to give my personal congratulations. Our own organisation, Metropolitan Housing Partnership, has been associated with this organisation, the Muslim News Awards, for a number of years. This year, I'd like to say a few extra words in relation to education. I think Metropolitan Home Ownership, one of our parts of our organisation, has helped something like 1,200 teachers through a key worker living scheme in London, and most of those, or many of those, have been supported in schools where there are very big challenges to be faced. So our support for this is very crucial. And without teachers, there would be very few opportunities. I happen to go to a very rough school myself. It was one where we had our own coroner. And some of the essays that we had to do were something like, what I will do if I grow up. So I'm very happy to be here, ladies and gentlemen. The winner of the Sankore University Award for Excellence in Education is Sophie Gilliatt-Ray.
Sophie Gilliatt-Ray has been instrumental in establishing the first ever academic centre promoting scholarly and public understanding of Islam and Muslim life in Britain. The Centre for the Study of Islam in the UK at Cardiff was opened in 2005 and runs a master and diploma in Islam in Contemporary Britain. At present, she is working on her latest book, Muslims in Britain, An Introduction, which is designed specifically for undergraduates.
It's not often as an academic that I stand up, not knowing quite what I'm going to say next and not knowing how I'm going to finish the sentence. This really is a surprise, but I feel that I'm receiving this award as a reflection of the partnership between Cardiff University and the local Muslim community in South Wales. I couldn't have done it without the help of the Centre's Advisory Committee, and I want to name the people who've helped me so much. And I want to name Mohammed Evans, Abdullah Yassin, Akmal Hanouk, and particularly Salim Kidwai, who's Secretary General of the Muslim Council of Wales. Without the support of the local community, it just wouldn't have been possible. Thank you very much.
Let me just say a few words about the previous award. Sankura University is West Africa's oldest educational institution, located in Timbuktu in Mali. It was founded in the 10th century, and its graduates became prominent members in all spheres of society. However, it's currently unclear whether top-up fees were applied at that university. Moving on to the next award, the Mu'mineen Khadija Award. To present the fourth award, please welcome the Right Honourable Theresa May MP, Shadow Leader of the House of Commons. This award is sponsored by Malcolm Pharmaceuticals.
Mu'mineen Khadija was the mother of all believers. She was the wife of the Holy Prophet and was a personal role model, a woman of many talents, business acumen, independence, generosity and entrepreneurship. She used her vast wealth as a means of social harmony, helping those less fortunate. Theresa.
Thank you very much indeed, and it is a very great pleasure and privilege, ladies and gentlemen, to join you this evening at this important evening, celebrating as it does excellence and achievement across so many aspects of the life of our society. And if I may, I would first like to congratulate Muslim News for having initiated this awards ceremony those only a handful of years ago. I think it is so important that we do celebrate the positive contribution that is made to the life of our economy and our society by the Muslim community and those involved with the Muslim community in this country. And I'm particularly pleased to be able to present an award which is named after a high-achieving woman who was a role model of involvement in enterprise and also using business success for the good of others. So it's a very great pleasure to be able to be here and celebrate, as I say, the positive contribution of the Muslim community. And I'm very pleased to announce that the winner of this award for excellence in enterprise is Mazhar Butt.
Since 1974, Mazhar Butt has seen his family business grow from one shop in Nottingham to a multi-million-pound business, which is recognised as one of the largest specialty naan bread manufacturers in Europe, employing over 100 people. As a successful businessman, he has reinvested into his local community through various charitable and community activities, including contributing to local Islamic schools, radio stations, and community centres. He was given Lord Mayor's Award for Industry in 1994 and 1997.
Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. Like the young men say in the beginning, please make your speeches short. So I'm going to stick to the order and have a nice journey home tonight and safe one. And thank you very much.
Now, the next award this evening will be presented by Khurshid Ahmed from the Commission for Racial Equality. It's the Al-Biruni Award for Excellence in Community Relations and has been sponsored by the CRE.
This award's namesake was accomplished astronomer and mathematician. Additionally, he unreservedly condemned acts of intolerance purportedly taken in the name of Islam. He exemplified the Islamic values of tolerance of other faiths, being a very good role model, very relevant to these modern times.
The CRE, obviously, as most of you know, does not have a remit on religious discrimination, and therefore there have been lots of concerns expressed by the Muslim community as to why the CRE does not come up front on issues of religious discrimination. However, over the last 2 years, the CRE did give me the privilege of acting as the CRE's envoy to the Muslim community, and of course, following 7/7 and of course 9/11, the impact of religion on the state of race relations in our country has been particularly profound, and therefore the CRE has been brought much closer to the community, obviously in relation to the state of race relations that we are concerned, or all concerned about. It gives me a particular privilege to feel particularly privileged to be presenting this particular award because Al-Biruni is a special hero to the Muslim community. I did not know much about him until I was asked to present this award, and of course there are many great people whose life experiences leave some memorable moments, but there are those whose contributions leave a particular impact or imprint on human history. And apart from being a great scientist, Al-Biruni, of course, was very intolerant of religious intolerance and bigotry. And he did quite a lot of work in that particular field, a commodity which we are, obviously, which is much in demand in the current times. And therefore, it gives me great pleasure to announce the winner of this particular award, and that is Islam Awareness Week.
Islam Awareness Week is a project of the Islamic Society of Britain and has been running for 12 years. It aims to improve relations between people and develop understanding of Islam through exhibitions, talks, art and culture, and public events across the country. In 2005, Islam Awareness Week consisted of 100 events in 37 different locations.
Wow. How do you make a speech if you're speechless? Hands up, please. No, it's not in a personal capacity that I gratefully accept this particular award, and I was quite happy to not have my photograph in the brochure, because this award is a testament to the hundreds of volunteers who organise scores of activities every year that bring together thousands of people. And I think that's what this award is all about. It's about bringing people together to fight the intolerance, to fight the prejudice that exists. And every November, there are literally hundreds of activities across the country, and I would encourage one and all to find out what's happening in their locality, find out how you can get involved. So put a date in your diary for November the 21st this year and be involved. And thank you very much.
Please welcome the presenter for the Alhambra Award for Excellence in the Arts, the Right Honourable Sir Mingus Campbell MP, Leader of the Liberal Democrats.
Before you hear who's won that award, let me take you on a journey back in time, back to the 8th century, and let's reminisce together over the beauty of Muslim Andalusia. Unrivaled for aesthetic and architectural splendour, the entire city of Alhambra has been declared a national monument, with some of the most elegant examples of Islamic calligraphy and artwork integrated into the very fabric of the city. The geometric designs and simplistic beauty are simply breathtaking, and the name Alhambra befits this award for arts.
It's a great honour to be present once again on this quite remarkable occasion. I'm particularly pleased to be asked to present an award for excuse me, excellence in the arts, because it's not well known that before I entered Parliament, I was the chairman of a theatre company in Edinburgh called the Royal Lyceum Theatre Company. The arts, of course, themselves are valuable for their own intrinsic worth, but they're also valuable for the pleasure which they give those who either participate or those who watch or those who listen. But by the arts, we can better understand the different traditions represented in a society as diverse as that of the United Kingdom, which is why it gives me the greatest of pleasure to announce that the winner of the Alhambra Award for Excellence in the Arts is Jamil Ahmed.
Jamil Ahmed is an artist who combines European painting techniques and Islamic calligraphic disciplines. He founded the website jamilarts.com, which is used to promote his work and the concept of beauty in Islam. It has provided artworks to various charity events, including the Asian Earthquake Appeal, and has helped raise over £6,000, as well as sponsoring 2 community events in London last year.
Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Alhamdulillah, to have been shortlisted for this award was a personal achievement for me. But to have won this Alhambra Award is an honor. The Alhambra Palace itself was a great inspiration for my artwork in the beginning of my journey for Jamil Arts. Just want to thank the Muslim News for holding this award. Without it, I think there are a lot of achievements goes unappreciated. And also I want to thank, personal thanks to my wife for being so appreciative of my vision for this project, jamilarts.com. Thanks to all the charities who have participated in the last few years to fundraising so forth. And also thank you to everyone who supported by purchasing artwork from Jamil Arts. And final thanks to everyone who are thinking of buying art from Jamil Arts. Thank you very much. Thank you all, and visit jamilarts.com.
Just in case you're wondering, the Alhambra Award was not sponsored by the Spanish tourism industry, but maybe that's an idea for next year, Ahmed.
Our next award this evening is the Uthman Dan Fodio Award for Community Development. It's been sponsored by the Home Office, and here to present it this evening is Judith Lempriere, head of the Cohesion and Faith Unit at the Home Office.
Uthman Dan Fodio was a well-renowned Khalif and an Islamic scholar in West Africa in the 18th and 19th centuries. Arguably, his most visionary achievements were to empower women to educate and seek knowledge, and he was able to single-handedly transform an entire region into a treasure bed of knowledge.
Thank you. I must apologise at the beginning for Paul Goggins, the Minister at the Home Office, who's mentioned in your programme and who had planned to be here today to present this award. Unfortunately, he's not well and he had to pull out at the last minute. But from my personal point of view, I'm very pleased to have had the opportunity to take his place and feel very privileged to be here today. As you've heard, the Home Office has sponsored this award for community development for a few years now, and it's part of the importance to us of the recognition and celebration of the importance of individuals' achievements within the Muslim communities. And for me, that's why tonight's ceremony and this particular award are so very important. I hadn't heard of Uthman Dan Fodio before. It seems slightly odd to be commemorating here in the Grosvenor House Hotel in London, in such eminent company, the achievements of someone who lived in the 18th century in West Africa. But in fact, when you look, as you'll see from the book, he's a very apt role model. He used the principles of Islam to vanquish corruption and ignorance and to establish a just and enlightened society. and he challenged traditions such as those which deprived women of basic rights, including education. So it's very apt that we should celebrate and congratulate all the nominees for this award, these Muslim shining stars. And I'd like to announce that the winner of the Uthman Dan Fodio Award for Excellence in Community Development is Haroon Kareem.
Haroon Kareem has been chairman of the Balham Mosque for over 10 years and is a trustee of the East London Mosque and the committee of Ar-Risala School, which recently achieved voluntary aided status. In 2001, he was awarded a Civic Award by the Mayor of Wandsworth for services to community and achieved a special award from His Right Honourable Prince of Wales for commitment and dedication to community work.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. I am delighted and honored to receive this prestigious award. First of all, I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this honor. All I have done is to fulfill my duty as a Muslim to the community to my best of ability. May I also take the opportunity to thank Sir Iqbal Sakhani for the inspiration and support he offered for all the tremendous achievement and progress we have made at Balham Mosque and Al-Risala School. I also like to thank Sadiq Khan, our local member of parliament, and everyone who has helped and worked with me to make this success. I thank Muslim News and those who nominated me for this award. Thank you.
Next up this evening, we have an award that celebrates sport. It's the Faiza Hashimi Award, but unfortunately she isn't able to be here today, so in her place we're very pleased to have with us Aziza Atta, member of the independent panel of judges.
Faiza campaigned for women's rights and notably won the right for Muslim women to participate in the Olympic Games in Islamic dress. Faiza is yet another multitasker. She's a politician, a spokesperson, an activist, and former chief editor of Iran's first ever daily newspaper for women. Over to you.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum. The winner of the Faiza Hashmi Award for Excellence in Sports goes to Bilal Mustafa Shafayat.
Bilal Mustafa Shafayat made history in English cricket by making his debut for Nottinghamshire at the age of 16, as well as being the youngest player to hit a century. He added to this success by being the first England batsman to score a double century in an under-19 Test cricket match against India.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, elders. Didn't definitely expect this award. I was actually late today, so it's not a good start. But I just want to thank Allah for everything. If it wasn't for Him, I would be here right now. Thank you for everyone here, especially Mr. Dr. Musharraf, who actually put me forward for this award as well. So thank you to him. I love my mom and dad. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Could I please invite Mike O'Brien, Solicitor General of the Law Officers Department, to present the Anne-Marie Schimmel Award.
Anne-Marie Schimmel was an illustrious scholar and spent her life studying religions. In the face of deep criticism, she never faltered from a position which she believed to be true, and even though she was not a Muslim herself, she was very often heard to be supporting Islam against misfounded attack. She's widely published, including translating many esteemed works of Islamic poetry. Over to Mike O'Brien.
Assalamu alaikum. Britain is a multicultural society. The question that we face is, are we going to be a successful multicultural society? And in becoming a success, we need to have people who will build strong relationships between people of different faiths, different backgrounds, and ensure that we unite as a country together. The nominees today are people who have tried to do that. As a Member of Parliament and also a lawyer, can I say that I'm very pleased to see Clive Stafford-Smith's name there. Lawyers are always, as you all know, a good thing. Ken Livingstone, the Mayor of London, and also Cynthia Cape, who has done enormously good work on education on Muslim issues. It is the case, in particular, that our winner tonight is someone who has created a greater understanding of Islam and of the way in which Muslims in Britain are building their lives and making an enormous contribution to this country. In voluntary groups across the country and in churches, Cynthia Cape has taught people what it is to be a Muslim, even though she is not herself of that faith. She's been able to explain many of the things that people have asked about the Islamic faith and done so in a way which has reached a greater audience and also caused them, I hope, to have a greater understanding. I therefore take great pleasure in announcing the winner of the Anne-Marie Schimmel Award for Excellence in Championing a Muslim Cause is Cynthia Cape.
For the last 50 years, Cynthia Cape has promoted understanding between Muslims, Christians and Jews in Suffolk. She has been supportive of the local Muslim community, campaigning vigorously to advance a better understanding of Islam in schools, church circles, statutory and voluntary organisations. Through her work, Muslims have been invited to give talks about Islam in school assemblies, and police officers have visited the local mosque.
It wasn't 50 years, as I'd have my Zimmer, but 50 years ago, I heard a new translation of a verse from the Old Testament, the Jewish Bible. It was, in English, "My times are in thy hands." But we were told in the Hebrew, it is not the protecting hand of God, but the hurling hand of God who hurls you out into the world. I've been very privileged in Suffolk to meet many people who've been hurled in the world, hurled into Suffolk from all around the world. Asylum seekers, for example, who have enlarged and enriched our local community. I would like to mention them tonight, many of them people of tremendous distinction and courage, who have taught us the basic things of life again. And without emphasising quite so much the economy, could I please ask politicians to get back to the basic values all the faiths hold together so we can regenerate our society from the bottom up. Suffolk County Council, unlike the Houses of Parliament, now opens its meetings every time with people of different faiths. And after 7/7, we had a Christian and a Muslim together, who together did Thought for the Day. And I think that needs to happen all around the country, that we are all together on an equal footing, learning from each other. Thank you very much.
To present the Malcolm X Award for Young People, please welcome Mr. Fadi Itani, Head of International Relations at Islamic Relief. This award is sponsored by Islamic Relief.
Malcolm X Award for Young People is a new award this year, and it replaces the Imam Hassan and Hussein Award for Children from last year. Now, all of you will know and be familiar with Malcolm X. He's undoubtedly an infamous character. But this award has been named after him because it is an award that looks for potential, an award that looks for promise and that recognises that change is possible. From a misspent youth dogged by criminal activity, Malcolm X travelled a journey of challenges and obstacles. What is important, though, is at the end of the adventure, there was a reformed and positive Muslim. This award in his name honours the spirit of the individual who seeks freedom and justice. Fadi.
Thank you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm not supposed to be standing here to do this. Actually, it was my colleague Wasim who's late, I think. Wasim Yaqub. And I'm actually used to this because a few months ago I did this when I have been asked to talk or read the speech of the Mayor of London, Ken Livingstone, which was a bit of a shock for me. And yesterday, actually, I was sitting or standing in a similar set. I was in Kuwait. I just actually arrived from the airport immediately to the award. And I've been also asked to talk on behalf of the chief executive of the British Red Cross, who was on his way to Indonesia. So he sent his speech. He said if he can kindly read it. So it looked like I have to now get into this business of filling for big guys, which is not a good thing to do, actually. But Malcolm X is actually an excellent example for all of us. And we need people like Malcolm X during our difficult times, because word freedom fighters now is being translated and interpreted in different ways. And people who fight for their freedom, they call different names now. And people who fight for the rights also, they've been labeled. On the plane from Kuwait, I was reading or listening to the BBC. And it talked about our Prime Minister in Australia talking about fighting extremism. It looked like we finished with terrorism now, and now we have to fight extremism. I think what Cynthia said just earlier, we need to go back to not just back to basics of the faith and the belief. We need to go back to the basic beliefs of us as humans. And let's get rid of all extremism, either religious or even political extremism also, inshallah. So the winner for Malcolm X Young Person's Award for Excellence is his long name. I think I may need help here. So. Crescent Summer School Project and Sujil Mia / So the winner is a Crescent Summer School Project.
The Crescent Summer School Project scheme was set up in the Dallow and Biscuit wards of Luton to address poor infrastructure and recreational facilities. The scheme, which was developed by Sujil Mia in particular, attracted over 300 young people and involved them in diversionary activities. The Crescent Summer School Project enabled young people to discuss issues such as racism, Islamophobia, community cohesion, crime, bullying, identity, and career aspirations.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Sujil Mia, and this is Rizwan, one of the young persons from Luton who organizes the Crescent Summer School Project. First and foremost, we'd like to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and praise Him for this honor. And we'd also like to thank Muslim News for this recognition. And may Allah accept their work, inshallah. And that's about it. Thank you very much for having us today.
The next award is the Ibn Khaldun Award. It's sponsored by Helping Hands, and here to present it, please welcome Syed Zafar Iqbal, its director and trustee.
Ibn Khaldun is widely regarded as the father of modern social science. Through his work in sociology and history, he produced a masterpiece compilation called Muqaddimah, where he interpreted history in the political, sociological, psychological, and environmental contexts. This facilitated understanding between global cultures and faiths, something so relevant to these modern times. So, we honour him.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. For those who know Sayyid Zafar Iqbal, I am not him. He sends his apologies. He's just travelled back from India and he's not feeling very well. But it gives me the privilege and honour to be standing in such distinguished company. Helping Hands, charitable institution established in 2003, is honoured to sponsor this award. It's the first time that they've associated themselves with this fantastic event and the recognition of achievements of the nominees and the award winners. Helping Hands works around the world to help those in need, and in sponsoring this award, it allows us to recognise the achievements of the nominees and the winners, and also allows us to thank all the donors and supporters and the people in Britain and around the world that help us help the people in need. Promoting understanding between global cultures and faiths. The winner is Ahmed Al-Rawi.
Unfortunately, Ahmed Al-Rawi is abroad, so he can't make it today. Instead, an esteemed member of the panel of judges, Amir De Martino, will accept it on his behalf.
Under the leadership of Ahmed Al-Rawi, the Federation of Islamic Organisations in Europe, which is based in Leicestershire, has lobbied for Muslim rights across Europe. It has set up a number of institutions to serve the Muslim community and promotes understanding of global cultures and faiths. It has established the Institute for Humanities with branches in the UK and France. Al-Rawi helped set up the European Council for Fatwa and Research.
Good citizenship is the bedrock of any civil society, and the next award recognises those who, like Alija Izetbegovic, the former president of Bosnia-Herzegovina, have the resolve and the conviction to make a difference. Over to Mustafa Kande.
It is a great honor for me to be here before you tonight to present these important awards. The award of Alija Izetbegovic, I believe I got it right. He was the president of the Bosnia and Herzegovina. Yes? Right. Because when I was going through the book, when they asked me to present this award, I believe I'm not the proper person for it, because I wasn't a politician, and I'm not a politician. I'm a religious leader. So why? But there is one thing that is common between us. He was the president, and I'm the president of the Muslim Association of Nigeria. Maybe that's why they choose me. Anyway, not to waste most of your time. The winner for this award is Mudashir Arani. Mudashir Arani.
Mudassir Arani is a human rights lawyer based in London who specialises in representing Muslims and other minorities in civil rights cases. She also regularly addresses conferences, rallies and civil rights gatherings, as well as lecturing in mosques and universities. She has published and distributed over 500,000 leaflets entitled Know Your Rights.
I'm sure all of you will have noticed that that's not Mudassir Arani on the stage. Unfortunately, she's unable to be here this evening, so collecting the award on her behalf is Naomi Carpenter.
As you've just been told, unfortunately, Miss Arani can't be here tonight. Her work's taken her abroad this week. However, she sends her salams and says that she is really thankful and feels she is privileged, blessed and honoured to receive this award. Thank you.
And I'm very pleased to introduce the next presenter because he's someone who hails from the same neck of woods as I do, Murtaza Master.
Although largely overlooked, Ibn Sina's work on medical science was the guide for practitioners for 5 centuries, starting from the 10th century. He was proficient in Quran, educated in Islamic jurisprudence, and created the canon of medicine. This was a huge 1 million word volume, and not one word was dedicated to managing hospital waiting list targets.
Thank you. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Salamun alaikum. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great privilege for the Pharmaco Group to be associated with the Muslim News Award for Excellence and to celebrate with you all the contribution of the Muslim men, women, and children who have excelled in various fields. Pharmaco is a cooperative venture of independent pharmacists, and in the 12 years since its formation, it has provided strong business support to many pharmacists. It has helped students to pursue a career in pharmacy and helped many young pharmacists to be entrepreneurs. Most of all, it strives to improve the health of the community. It does this by equipping its members with the skills and tools to deliver the highest quality of healthcare. Our members play a vital role in making a contribution towards delivering a better health for our country. It is therefore very apt that we have sponsored the Ibn Sina Award, which recognizes excellence in the delivery of health. So, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to announce the winner of the 2006 Ibn Sina Award, and the winner is Medi Concern.
Manchester-based charity MediConcern aims to educate Muslims about good health through seminars, lectures, meetings, and advocacy work. Its publication, Shifa'ah, promotes understanding of Islamic medical ethics, history, and issues of relevance to Muslims.
Collecting this award on behalf of the winner is Afzal Merali. The next award this evening is the Ibn Battuta Award for Media. To present it, please welcome Secretary General of the Muslim Council of Britain, Sir Iqbal Sakrani.
Ibn Battuta was a latter-day Michael Palin, minus the Monty Python gags, of course. He spent 25 years travelling, covering 70,000 miles in the process, and he relates his tales of adventure in his travelogue, Rihla. This award celebrates the advantages of communication and of empathy.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. Friends, it's always a pleasure attending the Muslim News Award ceremony. One basic reason is that we see so much smiles on the faces of the participants, the shortlisted members before the award is being announced, and of course all the members present appear. It's not too often that we see in the media news that can bring in these sort of smiles. And therefore, someone who is on the receiving end of a microphone and each time being asked on a question, and usually it's all this rather grim and awful news that comes up, and saying, well, can we have a comment on as to what we have to, what the Muslim community has to say, or what you have to say? It's really an awful place to be in. But today, it is indeed a pleasure, because it is an important award, an award that gives a clear recognition of individuals who play such an important role in our community. Yes, it perhaps does not make wonderful news or headlines in the news stories in the newspapers, but it is a message that needs to go across. And that is important. Therefore, I can only reverberate what Ahmed Versi had mentioned, that the presence of the media persons today need to take this on board. And whilst they are, of course, carrying out on their, whether it's broadcasting or writing, whatever, it needs to be aware that there's some fantastic and excellent work taking place across the community. whilst acknowledging the important work of the community, one also acknowledges the role of the media. And I think today is an appropriate time for us to acknowledge the work of our British media. And over the last sort of few weeks, there has been so much of controversy on the cartoons. But here, I think today we need to appreciate and understand the good judgment, the very common sense that was applied by our British media. And I think, well done, keep it up. And that's the message. That's the message that needs to be passed on to our friends in Europe. Anyhow, now is the time for one small PR exercises for the MCB in terms of the wonderful work that is taking place. I think it's important that whilst there's so much of good news coming in, let me also give you one other great news that will be coming out very shortly. In this atmosphere of suspicion and questions about who we are, what we do, and particularly from the right-wing organizations and some sections of the media, there is an important area which the Muslim Council of Britain is looking at, and that is the contribution towards our economy. Just one small bit of statistics that will ring bells. Yes, we are about what, 1.62 million population in this country. 3 million, 3% of the population. The GDP contribution, how much GDP contribution we would expect? Minimum of 3%? Yes? No? Good guess. Difficult to guess because it's something which will not make us understand and be appreciative of it. 60 billion pounds of contribution from the Asian community towards our economy in this country, of which we are told 60% is from the Muslim community. And that is double our fair share in the community that we should be doing. We should be doing more, but to highlight this, the Muslim Council of Britain is organizing a very important international conference on trade and finance to show the role of the Muslim businessmen in this country who are contributing towards the well-being of the society, as well as contributing to the coffers of our budget, and of course in terms of how much that is being used in the country at large. And also the financial products that are introduced by financial institutions in this country. So it will give us an opportunity to get that message across. Anyhow, so that small PR exercise done for the MCB. Now let's find out who the winner of this award, the Ibn Battuta Award, we have. Well, what really a person that comes in mind, and what a great personality. The winner of Ibn Battuta Award for Excellence in Media is no person other than Jon Snow.
Jon Snow is the main anchor for Channel 4 News. In addition to his role as presenter, he has travelled extensively in the Muslim world, taking an in-depth look at events and developments. He recently published his autobiography, Shooting History.
Salam alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Good evening. I'm shocked, to be honest, genuinely shocked, and I accept with considerable humility because there is a long way to go. But I feel very, very honoured to have received an award from this group, and I'm grateful to the Muslim News for bringing this about. It's a challenge, there is no question. And I've just had 2 weeks of challenge in Iran, which is an absolutely fascinating and intriguing country about which we know little and care even less, save for some interest in its nuclear development. And it struck us very much on Channel 4 News that it was a pity really to try and examine one particular country through the prism of nuclear weapons, seeing as nuclear weapons are a somewhat arcane and curious thing through which to look at anything. So anyway, we've got there, and I have to say that it was a a very uplifting and extraordinary experience, because to go to a country like Iran, where there is very sophisticated science going on aside from nuclear development. I mean, we stumbled into stem cell development, where they are perhaps only about 16, 18, 25 months behind our own research here. There's a sheep about to be born any minute, a cloned sheep. It was also interesting to find that in an essentially neoconservative clerical state, in contrast to the essentially neoconservative non-clerical state of the United States, they had a much more progressive view of stem cell work than their neoconservative counterparts in Washington, and that was a bizarre and interesting. But I suppose at the end of the day, the only thing that I really believe very strongly in is that mutual understanding, mutual exchange of information about each other is a very, very rewarding activity. It's much easier to hate people about whom you know nothing and about whom you're told a lot, but never actually experience for yourself. And I think that what television and the web and everywhere else, and we were deploying both to the full, can do is to enable people to understand each other and cut out the hate and cut out the people who want you to hate, and get to try to understand for ourselves. And I seek to understand the Muslim community more than I do. I seek to understand the Muslim world more than I do, and I hope it's a journey that many of us can share together, and I look forward to conspiring with other people in this room to do more of it. So thank you very, very much. I feel extremely honoured and flattered and inadequate to receiving this rather beautiful item here. Thank you very much.
So we sadly come to the final award for tonight. To present the Iman wa Amal Award, please welcome Fatima Amar, Senior Lecturer at the Markfield Institute of Higher Education and esteemed member of the Muslim News Independent Award panel of judges.
The special Iman wa Amal Award is translated literally to mean faith and action. It recognises the spirit of those who believe in goodness and who endeavour to achieve it always in everything they do.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm extremely honoured and delighted to be here tonight with you, and as well delighted to be able to present this award, Faith and Action, or Iman and Amal. Something that really showcases the work of many people within the Muslim community who prefer to work in silence and act upon what they believe. And I think as well, it exemplifies the work of Ahmed Versi. So thank you very much for the hard work you're doing. I just felt that I have to express what is in my heart at the moment. Years and years of very hard work. Thank you, Ahmed. Actually, faith and action, when we read the Quran and look at the prophetic sayings, it's an endless list of verses in the Quran and an endless list of sayings of the Prophet, peace be upon him. I'm here delighted actually to announce the name of the winner of the 2006 Iman wa Amal Special Award, and it goes to Muslim Hands.
Established in Nottingham at the time of the Balkan crisis in 1993, Muslim Hands has grown from the local initiative of a few Muslims to an international charity that now operates in 40 countries. It spends in excess of £5 million annually on projects ranging from disaster relief, medical aid, education, tree planting, and long-term development initiatives. It has also established long-term development projects which include blood banks, orphan sponsorship schemes, libraries, eye care camps, and water and sanitation schemes.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Contribution of the charities in this country is very great. We Muslim, we are also contributing in many ways. But one thing I want to tell you, what we are doing. Muslim Hand is working in more than 40 countries. Wherever is a problem, Muslim Hand is there. But what we do, what we are contributing, wherever we go, we raise the flag of United Kingdom. Wherever we go, we raise the flag of United Kingdom. This is Muslim Hands UK. Muslim Hands UK belong to the United Kingdom. And wherever we go, we raise the flag and the respect of this country. I want to tell, particularly for the people of this country, original, we are loyal of this country, and we will be loyal of this country. And our generation will be loyal of this country because you gave us respect. And we will be the part of this country forever.
Ladies and gentlemen, our special thanks go this evening to our guest speaker, the Right Honourable Jack Straw MP. We're very pleased to have had him with us this evening. I'm sure you'll all agree with me, his speech was truly inspiring. We must also thank all of those who pulled together this evening to get this event off the ground. Presenters, panel of judges, guests, sponsors, those who nominate, and of course, more importantly, those who do all the good work that means that they get nominated.
And how about a special thank you for all those people who've travelled from far and wide to be here tonight. From the USA, we have Zafar Malik and his family, who was our creative designer for making this beautiful brochure that you all received, and who incidentally kindly worked pro bono for us. We have Jalal Ali from Bahrain and Jawad Iqbal from Italy. Not forgetting Mr. and Mrs. Suleiman from Zambia, who've come here specially to see this Muslim News Awards concept and maybe export it to their country. I suggest to them the first thing they do is hire these two MCs.
You won't hear me complaining. And incidentally, if any other tropical countries want to have an award ceremony, we're available too. Come speak to us afterwards.
The Muslim News have managed to produce such an amazing and fabulous event on quite a limited budget. So just imagine what they could do, Fatim, with more sponsorship next year.
Absolutely. And that's not a subtle plug. It's a very obvious plug. Please, ladies and gentlemen, help support this fantastic paper and help ensure that this award ceremony continues on in the future. And of course, this award ceremony is only able to happen because of the hard work, commitment. I can see him looking at me, getting angry and getting embarrassed, but it's true. It's the hard work, commitment and dedication of Ahmed Verisi. Ladies and gentlemen, a big hand. I hope you've all had a pleasant evening. Thank you for being here. That's all from us. Wassalamu alaikum.